Yeah, okay. So hi, everybody. Hello to obviously everyone here in person, but everybody online as well. Welcome to Alumni in the Industry. This is the first of the season, but we've actually started this last year and we had a whole year of this running. So this is, I guess, season 2. Basically, the concept of this is that we bring back our Iceland School of Energy alumni who are now graduated and out in the world and doing amazing things, and bring them back to talk to our students, our prospective students potentially, and just our community here. Today we have Ragna Björk.
Yep.
I'll leave it to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure.
But I'll just say a quick word about the format. So basically, Ragna has about a 30-minute or so, give or take-ish presentation, and then there'll be an open Q&A afterwards. So without further ado.
Yeah. So thank you for having me here. It's fun being back. Like the last time I was here, I was doing my master thesis presentation in that room there. So just walking past it, I was like, oh no. But yeah, you're probably here because of Carbfix, not because of me, but that's okay. I understand. It's a fun project. But I am still gonna start with me. It's weird putting up a slide like this, like going over your life a little bit. So I've been all around the place. Like since I was a kid, I never knew really what I wanted to do with my life. I was good at math and physics. Otherwise, I had no idea. So my life goal was to try and close as few doors behind me as I possibly could. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did. So I went as an exchange student to France because I wanted to learn another language. I went to the Commercial College of Iceland, not to learn commerce at all. I went to the physics department because that's what you do in a commercial college. I actually took a semester in psychology just to try and see if maybe math and physics wasn't really my route. It was fun, not my route in life. Physics, no, psychology is not me. Then I did take my bachelor degree in civil and environmental engineering. My aim was to do civil engineering. I had to do the environmental engineering as well because they only teach that together. When I graduated, I was more on the environmental side rather than the civil side for some reason. Then after that bachelor degree, I had no idea what to do with my life. So I took another gap year, did my diploma in French studies. So I wanted to have like a document of, yes, I know French. Not only because I lived there, I have a document. So that's why I did that. And then I ended up here in the IC. Many different routes to one location, but I ended up here. I've been working, I was in gymnastics, I was a judge, I took a gap year, I traveled, I worked as a flight attendant for 8 years. So during my entire bachelor degree and diploma, I was working as a flight attendant. I became a mom, and then I'm becoming another second-time mom, as you might see. Then after my first year here, I got employed as a summer employee at Reykjavik Energy. And then after that, I got a full-time job as a research project manager there. And then this year, I took a huge leap of faith and signed myself over to Carbfix. So I actually just started there formally on 1st of August, but I've been working closely with them since I started at Reykjavik Energy. Yeah, so basically my life in, 3 minutes? But Iceland School of Energy. So to be honest, I didn't really want to come here. Just to be really, really honest. After my bachelor degree, my focus was solely on hydropower, sorry. And they didn't really teach that here. So I started in Iceland, University of Iceland. And yeah, their department there started failing and all the courses I was taking just started ending and no one was able to take them. And I saw that I would maybe finish my my 2-year master's degree in 8 years. So my supervisor there talked to me and said like, hey, we have this great department in Reykjavik University. Like, you should maybe just go there. Looked at the curriculum there and saw, oh my God, they only focus on geothermal, or mostly on geothermal. And I had absolutely no interest in geothermal. Being Icelandic, this is just like basic stuff. Geothermal is just something you have in your backyard. It's easy, it's simple. Didn't want to study it. So I was like, yeah, well, I really want to do an energy engineering master. So I was like, okay, I'll sign up for it and I'll just take every class that is not geothermal and just take the geothermal I need to graduate. Yeah, and I ended up in Carbfix, so you can just imagine. Yeah, so the focus shifted and I ended up doing a numerical modeling thesis. So I ended up really, really deep into geothermal and geology and stuff I had no knowledge of before I came here. So yeah, things can change quite rapidly. Yeah, so I started in 2017, and in the summer of 2018, I was employed as a summer employee at Reykjavik Energy. This first summer, I was organizing this carbon conference in Reykjavik, the ICC 2018. And this was a summer school for PhD students. It was management meetings, a high-profile conference day, and a field trip to South Iceland. So basically, I was just project managing a carbon conference. And then I was also involved in these H 2020, which are Horizon 2020 European Union grants, called Carbfix 2, GECO, and Science for Clean Energy. So I was involved in that as well during that summer. After the summer, there were some issues that arose in the company, so they didn't want to let go of me. So for the year after, they found a thesis project for me, and I worked with them part-time while doing my thesis on numerical modeling of the Hveragerði high-temperature field. And then after I finished that, I got a full-time job at the Research and Innovation Department. So yeah, I sort of stumbled into Reykjavik Energy to be honest, yeah, this just sort of happened, but yeah, a good happening. A little bit about my thesis, because I know some of you are probably starting yours, or have started, or are in the beginning stage. Yeah, so I went to Hveragerði. I did a computer modeling of the geothermal system, so basically a conceptual model, then a natural state model, and then a production history matching. Sounds easy peasy. This was what they set up for me, like, yeah, this is what you're gonna do. Sounds easy. I was like, yeah, perfect. This was so incredibly problematic. So just if you are in your thesis work right now, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but yeah. They have absolutely no data for Hveragerði whatsoever. I am not even joking. I went to an old person's garage to find data to look for. And he had like a bunch of like paper stacks of possible data for Hveragerði. So this is where I went. I was searching everywhere for possible data. Ended up being able to create this. So formation temperature for the field. And yeah, the conceptual model. And you can see, I really like this picture. You can see the depth of 200 meters, the heat. Then I created this using Tuff2 and TIM, where we used fracture trends from surface manifestations and using like that there are different structures in the south and in the north, and we know that the heat and masses are in the north. But if you are doing some modeling, you know that this is mostly just based on educated guesses. You read a lot, you look at a lot of data, and then you try to implement that into your model. So if anyone else would do a model for Hveragerði, it would probably look completely different to this. But my results looked good. So the formation temperatures are the purple ones, and the calculated temperatures are the dots. So they fit quite well together. And these are just not like my two best wells. These are like the most northern and most southern one. So they all pretty much looked like this. So the day that this came out of the Top 2 modeling was a very, very happy day. I can tell you that, like, wow, this actually looks good. So at least for the estimations I did and the understanding I have of the field, gave me this result. Someone else could have something completely different and still get this result. So yeah, modeling is fun. Then I got to estimate the production history. And so the red box there is the data that was available. Those are for 2 wells in the system. There are 16 known production wells in the system. So my task was to try and estimate how much was produced in the field from 1947, using data from 2 wells for 5 years. So yeah, fun. So we needed some creative methods to do this, and I used energy use per person based on mass flow and population growth, and then energy use per building. And then I ended up with this awesome graph. And then plotting everything up together, we can see the pressure drawdown in the field. This is where I had to stop, actually. We wanted to do more, but because of lack of data, there was just no reason to continue. But we are. Reykjavik Energy is working on this, and we are collecting data right now. So hopefully in like 2-3 years, we can actually revisit this model and update it and probably change it completely, but that's okay. So, but yeah. But then Carbfix. So from 2018 to 2021, I was working for Reykjavik Energy. But as you saw, I was working with H2020 projects a lot. In the beginning of 2020, Carbfix actually became a subsidiary to Reykjavik Energy and became its own company. However, I was pregnant at the time, so I decided not to go over at that time and continue with Reykjavik Energy. But now this summer, I started working with them. So, but like since I started working with Reykjavik Energy, I've been very closely working with Carbfix as well. So although I am a new employee, I'm not really a new employee. Yeah, so this is what you've been waiting for, right? Carbfix. So just to go over a little bit, I don't want to spend too much time on the big picture. You all know this. We are in quite a bad shape. We need to store 150 gigatons using CCS before 2060. That's a lot. Just imagine standing right beside Gullfoss. That's the amount we need to store using CCS every second of every day until 2060. Sorry to ruin Gullfoss for you. Really, really sorry. But I mean, what can tiny Iceland do? Like, we are very few, like in the scale of things, we only emit about 4 million tons a year. And that's not a lot, but that's a really dangerous thought. Like, if you always think that someone else is doing worse than you, like everyone can sort of do that. And then nothing happens, but we want to do something about it. So that's why Carbfix has been searching ways to maximize its impact, not only here, but abroad as well, using every single technology we can find. So, but what is Carbfix? So it started as a research project in 2007, University of Iceland, CNRS in France, and Colombia and Reykjavik Energy came together and founded this project. And in 7 years, it went from this idea to an industrial scale CCS operational plant, which is very, very fast for a project like this. Mostly these takes like 20, 30 years to be developed, but somehow we managed to accelerate that. yeah, so this is the timeline. Now we're in 2021, and we had some awesome news this year that I'm going to be going into later on. So for the last 5 years, give or take, we have really scaled up our operations, both in capture and injection. So, and in 2019, yeah, beginning of January 2020, we were established as a separate company. So that was a big deal as well. The company is really research and innovation driven, and the team has published over 100 peer-reviewed scientific papers. The most notable one in Nature, where we even got the front page. So that was quite cool. But what is Carbfix? If you don't know, we are mixing water and CO2 together, dissolving it so it becomes fluid. We put it into the ground where it reacts with the rock, and then it becomes another type of rock, basically. So it is pretty simple idea. The process behind it, maybe not so simple, but the idea is pretty simple. It happens naturally in the world, just takes a lot longer time, but we are accelerating it, so it takes under 2 years to become a rock. So then it's permanently stored underground. Yeah, so that's the basic idea. So what's really unique about mineral storage is that it is really safe. The risk of leakage is not much, if any. It is cheaper than alternative solutions, and as you can see, just that. Yeah. So this is what we do. So we mix H2O and CO2 together and just store it on the ground. It doesn't have to go further than like 500 or 700 meters, but we are pumping it quite further down in Hveragerði. And this is the more conventional injection where we use cap rock. So they do it a lot in Norway, for example. They inject in old oil fields. So you have the cap rock so the CO2 doesn't leak up again. But that's not a problem with our method because it's already mixed with water. And actually the CO2 rich water is heavier than the fluid around. So it actually sinks rather than float up. It is environmentally friendly. It is, as I said, a nature's way of storing. It just takes a lot longer time when nature does it. It is built on firm scientific foundation. I mean, we have been studying this since 2007. And here you can see how this is the difference between the conventional and Carbfix. So we are accelerating the process a lot. So we see mineral trapping for CO2 in under 2 years. And we actually do this for H2S as well, as a byproduct from Hveragerði power plant. And we see that in under 6 months being transformed. While in other conventional projects, this takes, again, hundreds and thousands of years. However, those are also good solutions. I'm not saying anything else. Those are great solutions. Every solution counts. Yeah, it's a flexible solution as well. With respect to capture technology, we can go to pretty much every geothermal field in the world. But the injection is still only applicable to basalt. So we need basalt. And we have really high level of public acceptance, which is great. That's not common for new solutions like this, and not common in Iceland because we don't like changes. And from the beginning, this has not been a problem, like injecting and turning CO2 into stone and like, no problems. So we hope that will continue that way. So as I said, we can only inject into basalt for the moment, but we have plenty of basalt. The storage capacity in Iceland is about 2,500 gigatons, which is a lot. So remember Gullfoss? Yeah, that's okay. I restored the faith in Gullfoss, right? Yeah, so the red one is only the young basaltic formations, which are the best for us, but we can go into other fields as well. And this is the worldwide possible storage. Yeah, there really is space underground. And I mean, if you only look at geothermal, we have about 10 million tons of CO2 per year. So if you only focus on geothermal, we can do a lot from only that numbers. So it really like unlocks possible CCS solutions everywhere in the world. But what are the pathways? What are we looking at? So what we do at Hellisheiði is number A, so on-site capture and storage, where we both use a scrubbing tower to get the CO2 from the facility and then pump it downstreams. But then we can also do B and get the CO2 elsewhere and ship it to maybe Iceland, for example, and put it into the earth there. And then we can do direct air capture, which I don't know if you've heard about the company Climeworks. They have this direct air capture in Hellisheiði called Orka, but I'll go into that later. Yeah, so this is us. This is the original Carbfix team. So they began being actually 4, then Kristin here on the end joined in the summer. And this is me and Edda, and with our project manager in Brussels, signing a huge contract. This was taken just a few days ago, really proud of that. And our facilities in Hellisheiði, so our injection well in Hellisheiði geothermal power plant. So, but because I said, like, we are a research and innovation-driven company, we are always trying to expand our technology in all directions and thinking outside the box. And like, we know that our method works perfectly in Hellisheiði. We have the young basalt, we have all the water we want, we have the CO2 we want, but we want to go somewhere else. Like, we don't want to stay in Hellisheiði for eternity. We want to become bigger and more established. So we have some ongoing projects to expand. One of them is GECO. So I am the deputy coordinator for that project. I just learned that word yesterday. So this is a Horizon 2020 project. And the idea there is to try other rock types. So now we're not focusing on basalt. Now we're focusing on sediments, we're metamorphic and gneiss. So just to see like where are our boundaries in terms of geology. Like, I mean, basalt is best, but I mean, does it work to put it in sediments? It works in the lab. How well does it work in reality? So, and for metamorphic and gneiss as well. So just to find those boundaries and open up the map even bigger, make it bigger. Then we have the Silverstone project, which we signed last week in Brussels. This is actually funded by Innovation Fund, small scale. This was the first contract to be signed by Innovation Fund ever, so we're really proud of that. So this is basically taking Hellisheiði geothermal power plant to full scale. Now we are injecting about 30% of CO2 and 75% of H2S, and now we're going to 95%. Using the same technology, we're just adding a scrubbing tower, and in 6 years we'll be reducing emissions by 150,000 tons. And this is actually, will be, hopefully, if no one accelerates faster than us, will be the first full-scale CCMS facility in the world. And the project starts now 1st of December. Well, the European Union project starts 1st of December. We have started the work before, but the European Union project. Yeah, so this is the highest grant that has been received in geothermal, 3.9 million euros, or 600 million ISK. Yeah, so yeah, we are trying new rocks, we are expanding, we are going into more dock. So this is the Orka plant, which removes 4,000 tons a year. every year. It only started now in October, so it's still being worked upon, but it works very, very well. This is in cooperation with Climeworks, a Swiss company. And then we have the Geothermal. We actually applied for this in Innovation Fund, but the large scale system, but didn't get it at the time. But we are still hoping that at some point we will be getting the funds for this. And this is one of our largest streams. So we will be getting CO2 from Northern Europe, mostly Britain and Ireland, shipping it to Iceland and storing it in the basalts next to the aluminum smelter here in Straumsvík. And our first plan is to do 300 ton CO2. Next step is 300,000, then 1 million, and then 3 million ton a year. So, yeah, we are quite optimistic, would maybe someone say, but this is the reality. We need to scale up. So, yeah, we have partnered up with Dan Unity CO2 for shipping. And for the time being, it will be using just normal ships, but in the future, we are going to be methanol fuel. So it's going to be green as well, the shipping. That's always the main concern, like, oh, you're shipping it to Iceland. I mean, that's not going to be good, but we are working on that front as well. Yeah, and then the last project I'm going to go into is the CO2 sea stone. So as I said, we are doing different rocks, we are doing shipping, we are doing direct air capture, but this technology needs about 25 tons of water for 1 ton of CO2. In Hellisheiði, we have so much water that we have just been spending fresh water into the system. Now in this project, we're going to look at seawater. We did look at this during the Carbfix 2 H2020 project, and it works perfectly in the lab, actually a bit better than freshwater, but now we're actually going to demonstrate it in real life. So, and now we're also, trying to find different ways to use water in the system, because if we're going to go abroad, freshwater is not going to be an option in most countries. So being able to use seawater is going to be a huge stepping stone for us. Yeah. That's it. Any questions? Yeah, you have a mic.
Yeah, I was just going to be the runner and pass it around in case anybody has questions.
33 minutes.
Is it on? Can you talk? It has a red button, so. Is that it? Yeah, okay. Okay. Does anybody have a question? Sure.
So, do you think that Carbfix will work with other fossil fuel companies that produce a lot of carbon and work with their plant? I don't know if that's kind of the image they want, but it seems like there's a lot of carbon.
Yeah, so we have signed a contract with Rio Tinto here in Straumsvík, for example, to help them with their CO2 streams from the aluminum smelters. We're looking at a lot of, both, those types of industries. Yeah, I mean, we are open for pretty much anything. The problem with our technology is that the CO2 stream has to be over 20% from the power or from the industry. But with aluminum smelters and coal and gas, they tend to have less percentage in their stream. Although they do emit a lot, they just do emit a lot of other things as well. So we need amine scrubbers to help us along to the 20%. So just as we do in the quota, those company here here use their own technology or in cooperation with other companies to get their streams. So we only get the CO2 pure to us. So yeah, we are pretty much open to work with most people and most companies for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Do I need that or can I do that? Right. You've done a lot of things
Yeah. Thank you.
over your life, and it's all interesting.
Yeah.
That you've done this. Is there any one thing that you, whether it's a particular topic or a job you've had, that you would say has been turned out to be the most useful thing?
Ooh. Oh, you always bring the tough ones, don't you? I mean, what I used the most from my studies here is just, yeah, when you're in your studies, you learn how to study. That's sort of, I don't know if that makes sense, but like you learn how to get your information. I mean, I didn't learn anything about Carbfix in my studies, obviously. It was a new company, but it just teaches you how to search for things and how to get the information you need. I think that was probably the most important. And I mean, the geothermal classes I took here ended up being beneficial for me for sure. I mean, I've been working for a geothermal company since I graduated. So yeah.
You thought it was less skilled at how to do something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very
And just like, yeah, I would say try and take as many courses like with as much overview like in the entire sector as possible. Like just get that small bit of information from everywhere, because then you know that something exists. You can't really look for something if you don't know that it exists. So yeah, that's sort of maybe my 10 cents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope it answers.
It did.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Don't be shy. Yeah.
It's actually a Carbfix question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you know how much you can pump into a well before you have to drill another well?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, as I said, the CO2 rich water is actually heavier than normal water, so it actually tends to sink. It's also acidic, so it actually melts the rock. Well, melts. It's not quite the right word, but yeah, melts the rock around, so it actually makes some of the wells better, so more pores around the well. So, I mean, we've been pumping into the same well for, 6 years now? And it actually just becomes better and better every day. So we haven't seen any effect on our reservoir. And I mean, we estimate that we have filled 0.01% of the pores in the rock surrounding Hellishey. So yeah, we don't foresee that this will be a problem.
So it's basically unlimited right now.
Yeah, right now at least. Yeah.
In relation to that,
Yeah.
what's the porosity of the rock you're injecting into?
I just don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
What is it, 10% in Iceland? I think that's what we estimate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah, I think like the general rule is 10% here. And that's also what we're trying like with these different rock types, like because obviously they're not as porous as the basalt here. And what will happen? Yeah. Anything else? Am I this clear? Oh wow. I think that's a compliment. Okay. If not, you can always come and talk to me in a minute if you're shy.
And if anybody does have a question afterwards, can they email you?
Yeah. I should probably say this. I do get a lot of emails about internships and summer jobs and all those kinds of emails. We do have summer jobs every summer. We don't tend to have internships, and those tend to open up in January, February for application. So just so you know. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Maybe we can give Ragna one more round of applause. I think that's a wrap.